want to show you how I'm going to turn this into this. A 3-course dinner meal that you need to be whipping up under 1,500. Everything from appetizer, the main, and your dessert. This could be for the ting, your main ting, your side ting, or your other ting. However, sit back, relax, and take out your notepads. You need these recipes in your life. Welcome back to yet another exciting episode. Today's episode, my God, you guys gave me the best feedback. I asked you questions. I didn't tell you what kind of thing I was working on, and you guys gave me all of your feedback, and I'm applying it today in this episode. It is a 3-course dinner that you need to be whipping up for your ting, whoever that ting is. Or if you need to send this video for your ting, for them to cook it up, this is that episode for them. And first things first, we're starting off with a starter. Very affordable. Baguette bread was 100 shillings. It's already in the bag. Avocado, we're also going to be adding in some tomatoes and some dania. Toss that up with some lemon juice and some salt and set it in the fridge. And while it's being set in the fridge, we're going to be cutting up our bread, ensuring we are not cutting the slices too thin. And then once we've cut up about six slices are enough, you take your bread, go ahead and place it onto your pan in order to toast it. And you need to drizzle your olive oil. Ensure to toast both sides. Now that you've toasted your bread, the easy part is always the assembling part. Go ahead and place your toasted sliced bread onto your chopping board. I prefer that. You can use a plate as well. I just think the chopping board makes everything look so beautiful. Then you're gonna go ahead and take your avocado. Ensure that you've seasoned your avocado. I usually season my avocado with salt, a little bit of lemon juice, and you can add some chili flakes if you want into there as well. So you want to make sure that you can balance your bread, and by balance I mean it's not toppling over or whatever. Now that you've placed your avocado, go ahead and place your tomato and dania situation on top, and just be careful not to overfill it because you want everything to be delicious in one cohesive bite. And just like that, your starter is ready. Now, as you are devouring this part, which is the starter, you gotta get ready for the main event, which is gonna be roast potatoes and your chicken. And remember, you've been marinating it overnight, if not for 4 hours, so you know you're about to bring it. But in the meantime, just get those taste buds tantalizing as you take more bites into your starter. Oh my God. Sometimes I even get shocked like I cook like this. Now you're on to your main, where the harmonious twosome is about to happen, but it could be a threesome, which is roast potatoes and chicken. So we're gonna be making some salsa, which is kachumbari on the side. So first things first, we are just slicing our potatoes into half. Now I prefer to use these potatoes because one, of their color, and two, they just somewhat cook better. Not to say your other Irish potato wouldn't. This just has like a better texture and feel as well. But something you would notice if you cooked often enough. I'm not saying that you don't. Now we're cutting them into half, we're parboiling them, then we can be able to throw them onto either our grill tray or we can throw them onto our normal pan as well. If you have a cast iron, you can do that as well. However, you just want to ensure to cut them into half first and not cook them as they are full. Now that your potatoes are boiling, you can go ahead and marinate your chicken. However, I want to say this, guys, come on, please. If you're not marinating your chicken overnight, there's a couple of things you're doing wrong. And you're trying to achieve so much flavor and just use shortcuts. Sometimes use the long route, okay? If you're not gonna marinate the chicken overnight, at least 4 to 5 hours, you can marinate the chicken in the morning and then leave it marinating, and then you can be able to throw it down later. So we're gonna be taking our 2 veggie cubes. That's what we're using. It's literally like one of the only spices we're gonna be using. We're gonna add that in there. We're also going to be crushing that down. But before we do that, we have 3 cloves of garlic, which we've gone ahead to mince. And we are gonna go ahead and also take our thyme. You can use thyme or rosemary or oregano if you would like as well. I prefer to use thyme, so I'm gonna be using thyme and trying to finally chop down the thyme. So now that you have all your prep ready, you're gonna go ahead and start by crushing down the veggie stock cubes. You can use chicken stock cubes as well. I prefer to use chicken. And this chicken bouillon, you can buy just the cube itself at your convenience store, which is your mama mboga or your kiosk, or you can go ahead and buy the pack, which I usually get. And the pack usually has about like 6 stock cubes in there, and it's about 82 shillings as well. So now that you've crushed your chicken stock cubes, go ahead and add your garlic, add in your thyme, and then squeeze in your lemon juice. So you need about 1.5 juicy lemons for the lemon juice for this marinade. And then we're also going to be adding in 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. Mix all of that together really well. You want to just keep crushing down the chicken stock cubes so that it can dissolve into your wet mixture that you have going on over here. Marinade is done. Let's go ahead and rub the ting on the chicken. Now, you saw the price of the chicken. It was $2.72. I mean, you're only just feeding you and the other person that you're with, unless you have other people, then you would need to increase the chicken. So all I'm doing is making a little bit of cuts on the back of the chicken, not on the top skin, because you want it to look nice and beautiful. So I'm just making some cuts on the back of the chicken in order for the marinade to really penetrate through overnight, or for the 4 hours you're gonna be marinating it for. Now that I've made the cuts, I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle salt and pepper on both sides. Now you don't wanna go too crazy with the salt because your chicken stock already has salt, so be very, very mindful of that. And now that we've sprinkled both sides with salt and pepper, we're gonna go ahead and pour our marinade onto the chicken. Can I pull it out? You guys know what I'm pulling out. Gonna rub down the marinade onto the chicken without gloves. You know why I use gloves, just to ensure that I'm not staining my fingers. It's just one of my things. You don't have to do this if you don't have gloves. It's perfectly okay for you to go in with your hands. And just make sure the marinade is entering into the little cuts, especially that you've made. So that way when it's marinating overnight, it can be full of flavor. So now that you've marinated your chicken, just wrap it up and place it into the fridge. We've gone ahead to boil the potatoes until they were fork tender soft. Like, you can pass a fork to them to make sure to check if they're soft. So don't skip on that step. Alternatively, you can use my microwave hack. It's popped up here. Just make sure you check out the microwave hack. I'm drizzling in about 2.5 tablespoons of olive oil. You can use normal oil. I'm using a potato seasoning blend. It's about 99 shillings. I know this is not included part of the shopping. However, you can always add it. Trust me, guys. This seasoning blend is the truth. This brand, oh my God. It's already popped up, so you can be able to see it, purchase it. I usually just, since it comes in a sachet, I usually just put it in a container. Now that I've added the seasoning blend, I'm also gonna be adding in just a little bit of salt, and I'm also gonna be adding in some garlic powder. I just noticed that the seasoning blend needs just a little bit of other things on top to make it better. So toss your potatoes like so. Make sure all of the potatoes are well coated. If not, you can always up the ante with your seasoning, and also add in some more olive oil to just make sure your potatoes are well coated. And garlic powder as well. I'd say we would measure this, but the ancestors have not asked me to stop. Or they have. So toss everything together. And then we're just gonna set this aside in order for us to heat up our grilling tray and start cooking up a storm. I'm gonna be using my grilling tray to make these potatoes. I love the charred grilled marks that my potatoes end up happening. However, you can use a pan, you can use an oven. There is no restrictions around the kind of pan you use to make your potatoes. All you gotta ensure is they come out just the way you like them. Now onto our chicken, we're just gonna add just a little bit of olive oil onto our pan. I'm gonna go ahead and add our chicken onto the pan. So we're going to ensure to cook the chicken on the skin side down until it's crispy, and then we can flip it over. And in order for us to make sure that the chicken is cooked through, we're also going to be covering the chicken so that the moisture cooks everything through and you don't eat raw chicken. And this is going to be about 10 to 12 minutes. We're gonna cover our chicken to cook so that way it will really cook through. So the main event is here. You guys have been chatting up. You've been telling them, you know, I really wanted to cook this for you. You know, you're just telling them how you're about to take their taste buds to a whole other level. So go ahead and set up your main event. We're gonna take this. This is like gold dust. This juice that's here, do not pour it away, okay? Do not. And you can save the rest for whomever would like to drizzle it onto their potatoes. Speaking of the potatoes, I'm just gonna bring those in. Ooh, ooh, they looking good. And to top it off, I am serving up this main with kachumbari, my salsa, ushatini. See, your girl got range. Your girl got range on how to call it in different other languages. I'm just now flexing. Now, this main is definitely going to be filling, super flavorful, and here's the greatest thing. Everything on this plate here is like technically under 500 bob. So what you doing, sis? Why you not whipping this up, sis? What you doing? Now that you are devouring the main, let's move on to the dessert where it's going to be finger licking good. So we're on to the finale, which is the dessert, and this just consists of you having some bomb apples where you can go ahead and make the dessert with. If you don't have access to apples, then I would say use berries. However, apples are very easily accessible, and I got 2 of these for about 40 shillings. So you're within budget, which is the best part. Once you've peeled the apples, go ahead and slice them. And you would need to slice around the apple because it has seeds in the middle. And then once you slice them, go ahead and dice them into little cubes. So now that our apples are all diced up, we're gonna go ahead and add about 2 teaspoons of sugar. Actually, we're gonna go in with 3 teaspoons of sugar. We're also going to be adding in just a little pinch of salt. This will help remove, or rather extract, all the sweetness that we're looking for. And then we're also gonna go in with about half a teaspoon or 3/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then we're just gonna toss everything together. Once everything is well combined, we're gonna go ahead and brown these, or rather saute these diced apples with some butter, because we need to release all that sweetness, and we also need to make the apples so much softer. We're gonna go in with a stick of butter. Now, I wouldn't recommend for you to skip on the butter because you actually really need it. So if you don't have butter, I would say go with margarine, but you'd be breaking a lot of rules there. Like, try and make sure you have you some butter. So once your butter has melted, go ahead and add in your diced apples. And you just wanna cook these until they're soft. It's been about 4 minutes and our apple situation and the butter is quite soft. You can even just be able to cut through it with your wooden spoon. So we're just gonna set this to the side. As this cools down, we have ample time to prepare our puff pastry. We're gonna need a little bit of all-purpose flour on our base. We're gonna go ahead and lay out our puff pastry. So now that you've laid them out like so, you're just gonna let them thaw for a little bit, which is become a little bit softer before we start putting in our filling and creating our turnover. Now, the major reason why this is called an apple turnover is because we're really looking to turn our pastry into a triangle, as I'm demonstrating like so. That's what we need to do. So because we need to do that, we go ahead and take our filling and put it onto the one side of the triangle. And you don't want to put too much. As you can see, I'm just only putting like about half a tablespoon. Now, the good thing about this is you can make it way ahead of time and then have them in the freezer or just have them sitting in the fridge until you're ready to make them. So once you've filled up one side of the triangle of the pastry, you're going to need to go ahead and ensure you've cracked your egg and you have your brush ready. If you don't have a brush, you can use your finger as well. You're just gonna dip your brush into your egg wash and then brush it around the corners like so. You don't want to brush it in the middle, please. Please no. Just listen to the instructions. And once you do brush along the corners, go ahead and take your apple situation, your pastry situation, and bend it like so to just cover it. Now, it's okay if you haven't sealed it properly. I'm going to show you guys how you seal it really well. Okay, so now that we have filled up our turnovers, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our fork and ensure that we have it, sift through the flour just a little bit, and then we're gonna use the fork to cover the edges. If you don't want to seal your pastry, that's perfectly fine. However, I do want to let you know that you'll possibly have a mess if you don't seal your edges. Once you're done sealing them, we're gonna place them onto a plate and then place them in our fridge. I'm going to be using my air fryer to bake these apple turnovers. However, you can go ahead and use your oven. I will leave in the description box below the timings that you should use and the settings of your temperature as well. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and use some of our egg wash to just brush on top of our turnovers like so. If you put too much of it, you're gonna definitely taste the egg on top. And you just wanna brush it onto the top. You don't wanna go everywhere, just the top. Now that you've brushed them, go ahead and take your parchment paper, place it on the bottom of your air fryer, and then you're gonna take your turnovers and place them like so to cook. I'm going to be cooking this for about 12 to 15 minutes. I'm just going to keep an eye on them. However, you will be able to see how they rise and how they cook through and how the butter and all of that stuff doesn't melt out. The apple turnover is it's ready to stunt on you guys, okay? Now, you're going to just take them out like so. Place them onto your serving situation. Then you're gonna take your ice cream, add that on top. I prefer to serve these with French vanilla ice cream, but you can choose whichever ice cream you prefer. I just prefer it with vanilla. I just think the flavors complement each other really well. So we're gonna go ahead and place our mint, and just like that, voila, et voila. I truly hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was one of my faves to film, mainly because you guys challenged me. I took up that challenge, okay? Somebody asked me if I could make dinner date night meals under 1,500, and I said, "Homst!" I might to turn that down. Homst! So for those of you who are going to be trying out these recipes, don't forget to use that hashtag Miss Mandi Throwdown and tag me as well at Miss Mandi Throwdown. And if you need all the lowdown, the details, the timings of all the things that I've cooked here, check the description box. Share this video with your ting or some guy who's just been talking to you, telling you how he can impress you. This is it, the ultimate challenge. Let them show up. If they don't want to, it's going to be up to you. In the meantime though, until the next episode, stay eating delicious and stay fabulous.